We dissected out 17 hilar and paratracheal lymph nodes. The heart weighed normal. It was examined with an inflow and outflow method. The right and left ventricular wall thickness was normal. There were no infarcts. The coronaries were patent. There were no features of atherosclerosis. Now, coming to the microscopic examination of the organs. So our organs of interest were the urinary tract. We first have a look at the ureter. This is the transverse section of the ureter, and the ureter we see is obliterated with presence of sheets of tumor cells. The muscularis propria is thinned out, and these tumor cells are infiltrating into the muscularis propria. What we see here at high power is these cells appear like signet. These are the signet rings. And just to show the cytomorphology, a signet ring has a large central vacuole, which pushes the nucleus to one end and pushes the cytoplasm such that it becomes a ring, and it looks like a signet ring. So what we see at high para, these are all sheets and sheets of discohesive signet ring cells, which are present and obliterating the lumen of the right ureter, probably leaving just a little space for the DGS-10 to go, and they're infiltrating into the wall of the ureter. Now, there was a lot of fat which was adherent around the ureters, and that was all infiltrated by the tumor cells. We can see a perineural invasion, a lymphovascular invasion. Since we had a background history of that this patient was a case of poorly differentiated adenocarcinoma rectum, we performed from IHC markers. The CDX2 was performed. CDX2 is transcription factor which helps in the development and differentiation of the colon. So the CDX2 was strong nuclear positive in these tumor cells. CK20 is an epithelial marker which comes positive in the lower GI tract. So it tells that this is of epithelial origin. So we are seeing a tumor, signet ring cell carcinoma, which is CDX2 positive, CK20 positive. So most likely it's a lower GI tract in the background of the history of a known case of poorly differentiated adenocarcinoma rectum. Probably these are tumor deposits from there. CK7 was negative, which rules out an adenocarcinoma from the upper GI tract. Similarly, when we examine the left pelvis lumen was narrowed, and again it was infiltrated by sheets of these signet ring cells. The left ureter lumen is obliterated, and again it is showing metastatic tumor deposits of signet ring cells, obliterating the lumen of the ureter as well as present in the fat which was adherent to the ureter, and we can see a lymphovascular space invasion. The same thing can be appreciated on HIPAA. Coming to the kidneys, we did not find any tumor deposits within the renal parenchyma. However, there were features of acute on chronic pyelonephritis in the form of patchy lymphoplasmacytic infiltrate within the interstitium with areas of fibrosis, the paler pinkish areas. The tubules were dilated and showed neutrophilic abscesses. And there were features of advanced glomurulosclerosis in the form of segmental and global sclerosis of these glomeruli. Also, we found some infarcts, cortical infarcts in bilateral kidneys. Probably there were so many tumor emboli that probably it was because of the renal arteries which were blocked. Coming to the adrenal glands, the right and left adrenal glands both showed deposits of signet ring cell carcinoma. And the perinephric fat, which was adherent to the adrenal, also showed extensive tumor deposits and lymphovascular space invasion. And 2 lymph nodes in the perinephric fat were positive for metastatic tumor deposits. On taking sections from the gastroesophageal junction from the necrohemorrhagic area, we found fungal profiles which were broad, aseptate, very fragile, and branching at acute angles, which were morphologically consistent with mucor species. And a blood vessel within the serosa of the stomach also showed angioinvasion with these fungal profiles within the lumen and infiltrating through the wall. So patient also had invasive mucormycosis. Sections from the fundus of the stomach where the rugae were flattened, we see again infiltration of the serosa and the muscularis propria with these signet ring cells. Perineural invasion is also identified. So there were 4 ulcers within the ileum, and we examined all the 4 ulcers, and what we saw was these ulcers were nothing but deposits of these signet ring cells within the ileum. The mucosa of the ileum is normal. The submucosa is expanded, and these are the sheets of tumor cells which are there in the submucosa, and some extracellular pools of mucin are also seen. So at a higher power, these are the signet ring cells which are floating within these pools of mucin. So we call it a signet ring cell carcinoma when more than 50% of the tumor comprises of signet ring cells. So here we see that the entire tumor is made up of signet ring cells. So again, we performed immunohistochemistry on the ulcer, and again, it was positive CDX2, CK20, and it was CK7 negative. So we found 12 out of 14 mesenteric lymph nodes were involved by a tumor, and there was also perinodal soft tissue deposit. So this is a normal lymph node which shows a cortex with lymphoid follicles and medulla. However, here we see that this lymph node architecture is totally effaced, and these are all sheets of tumor cells which have replaced the nodal tissue. The pancreas, the lobules of pancreas appeared normal. However, in the peripancreatic fat, there were lymphovascular emboli, and all the 3 pancreatic lymph nodes showed metastatic tumor deposits. The liver, spleen, and gallbladder did not show tumor deposits. The peritoneal fluid was negative for malignant cells, low SAG, and no culture was, the culture was negative. Coming to the brain, what we see here, this is the cerebral cortex, and this is the subarachnoid space. The subarachnoid space appears very cellular, and it is expanded. And at high power, we see that the subarachnoid space is infiltrated by sheets of these signet ring cells. In fact, when we had a look at multiple sections, the entire subarachnoid space, the brain was entirely covered by these signet ring cells. It was wrapped. Coming to the cerebellum, again we see all these very cellular areas. These are nothing but signet ring cells which are in the subarachnoid space and even infiltrating into the folia of the cerebellum. Again at high power, we can see these are sheets of signet ring cells which are being highlighted by the IHC for CK20. Sections from the cerebral cortex and the necrotic area in the putamen showed metastatic deposits of signet ring cells which are being highlighted by CK20. So he had leptomeningeal carcinomatosis along with metastatic deposits in the brain. CSF analysis showed a low glucose, high proteins with increase in globulins, and the CSF cytology post-mortem was positive for malignant cells. The culture did not flag any growth. So CSF cytology post-mortem was positive. Again, we can see the signet ring cells with some amount of mucin inside and atypical nuclei. So with this, we went back and we requested for review of, we reviewed the biopsy, which was reported on 3rd Feb 2022. So this biopsy was post NACC-RT. So it was showing a lot of therapy-related changes. But on high power, if we appreciate, we can again see that the tumor at that time was also showing signet ring cell morphology. These are all disc cohesive cells, the residual tumor which is left after the therapy, and we can see these signet ring cells. So the and these are the tumor deposits in the lymph nodes. So the morphology of the primary poorly differentiated adenocarcinoma was also signet ring cell, and the one which we see now is also signet ring. So at that time, it was opined as APR was done, poorly differentiated adenocarcinoma, TNM stage YPT3, YPN1A, because single lymph node was positive. The tumor had shown partial response. The proximal distal margins were free. However, important to note is that his circumferential resected margin, which was documented, was 1 millimeter, which is actually considered as a R1 resection. And a separately sent tissue from the coccyx had also shown deposits of tumor, which makes it a M1 disease. So some non-neoplastic findings in the lungs. There were features of aspiration in the form of some food particles with inflammatory reaction around. And there were some bacterial colonies which were gram-positive and neutrophils within the bronchus. And patient had developed probably bronchopneumonia secondary to aspiration. However, an AFB, ZN stain for AFB and PAS and Grocott for fungal profiles was negative. Another finding was that a few of the medium-sized vessels in his lung showed marrow fat embolism, which can be because of a CPR which has been given to the patient. The patient had had cardiac arrest twice, once on 20th and finally on 23rd. And the lymph nodes, the hilar and pretracheal lymph nodes were reactive. They did not show any tumor deposits. So the pleural fluid was negative for malignant cells. It was culture negative. The heart, the right and left ventricle were unremarkable histologically. The coronaries were patent. There was no atherosclerotic plaques. And the bone marrow was normocellular reactive. So the pericardial fluid was transudative. It was negative for malignant cells. And the cultures of the pericardial fluid and heart blood culture did not flag any growth. So the salient gross findings, the brain showed thick mucoid exudates on the meninges, and there was necrosis in the area of putamen. The thorax showed hilar and paratracheal lymphadenopathy. There was bilateral pleural effusion, pericardial effusion, mild ascites, necrohemorrhagic area in the GE junction, hemorrhagic ileal segment with ulcers, mesenteric lymphadenopathy, peripancreatic lymphadenopathy, bilateral kidney cortical stars with DJ stents in situ, loss of corticomedullary differentiation, dilated pelvic ileal system ureters, turbid urine in left kidney, and renal fat adherent to renal pelvis and ureter bilaterally. So the salient histopathological findings, the brain showed leptomeningeal carcinomatosis with brain metastasis. The stomach showed invasive mucormycosis at the G junction and metastatic deposits in the stomach. Metastatic deposits were there in the ileum with 12 out of 14 lymph nodes being positive. 3 lymph nodes in the peripancreatic fat showed metastatic deposits. In the kidneys, tumor deposits were there in bilateral ureters, obstructing the lumen, renal fat, left pelvis, 2 metastatic lymph nodes in perirenal fat, and bilateral acute and chronic pyelonephritis and advanced glomerular sclerosis. Bilateral adrenals showed metastasis with extensive LVSI in the perirenal fat surrounding it, and lung showed bronchopneumonia, marrow fat embolism, and 17 hilar reactive hilar lymph nodes. So coming to the clinicopathological correlation, this is a 39-year-old male with carcinoma rectum operated, which was validated by reviewing the previous report of poorly differentiated adenocarcinoma. He had recurrent UTI with bilateral pyelonephritis and CKD, which was again substantiated histopathologically post-mortem by presence of acute chronic pyelonephritis and advanced glomerulosclerosis in the kidney. The patient was admitted on 29th with urinary symptoms of pain, right loin radiating to groin, dysuria, fever, renal angle tenderness with an ultrasound showing hydroureteronephrosis, lab test showing neutrophilic leukocytosis, numerous pus cells in urine, and a culture positive pus and right percutaneous nephrostomy, which corroborated with hydroureteronephrosis of both the kidneys. The left kidney had showed turbid urine and calluses, and again he had acute and chronic pyelonephritis. His NCCT KUB had shown extensive periureteric fat stranding with locoregional lymph nodes. What we found in these areas were deposits of signet ring cell carcinoma in bilateral ureters, left pelvis, perinephric fat in the adrenals, and there were metastatic deposits in 2 lymph nodes. Between 8th to 12th, he was on ventilatory support, and the chest X-ray had shown non-homogeneous opacities with bilateral pleural effusion and left basal krebs. We found bronchopneumonia secondary to aspiration, bilateral pleural effusion, and lymphadenopathy. Between 17th to 20th, he had developed subacute intestinal obstruction with a mildly raised CEA. Grossly, we found hemorrhagic ileal segment with multiple tumor deposits in the form of 4 malignant ulcers. Metastatic deposits were present in 12 or 14 lymph nodes. There were mesenteric soft tissue deposits as well, and peripancreatic lymph node metastatic deposits. So the patient had 2 episodes of seizures, one on 12th November and one on 19th November. And he had a cardiac arrest on 20th November. A CSF was sent for cytology and biochemistry, which was suggestive of pyogenic meningitis because the proteins were high and glucose was low, though biofire was negative. So what we saw was leptomeningeal carcinomatosis, and the CSF cytology was positive for malignant cells, and there were metastatic deposits in the brain. Patient symptoms worsened. He had developed refractory hypotension. He had a cardiac arrest on 23rd November, and he passed away. So the final cause of death was septic shock and multi-organ failure with left